Good morning, Sleek Geeks. This is your fearless leader here. Today I'm trying something new with my videos. First of all, I'm going live on our Sleekgeek page as opposed to our group. If you'd like to join the group, there should be a link somewhere under this video to join the group. The other thing that I'm doing is it's been a bit sporadic in the past as to what time I go live. So I've decided that I'm going to try and commit to go live at 7 a.m. every day. I'm here live at the Sleekgeek HQ in Cape Town. I can see Tanya Burtis and Yandre De Beer have joined. You might hear in the background a strange sound. That's just the foghorn. Where I'm based in Cape Town, I'm near the lighthouse, and it's a bit of a foggy morning. I've normally got an ocean view, but at the moment I can't even see the ocean. That's how foggy it is here in Cape Town. So that weird noise you're hearing in the background is the foghorn. So as I said, Sandy Mackenzie says, good morning. Sandy was featured in our newsletter today for losing 70 kilograms. Tanya Burtis says, morning Ilan, morning Tanya. So guys, as I said, I'm trying two new things. I'm going live on the page as opposed to the Facebook group, and seeing how that goes. And two, I'm going to try and be consistent because I normally am very sporadic about the times in the morning that I go live, and people are always like, what time are you going to be on? And I'm like, oh, I'm not sure. Depends on what else is going on with me. So I decided that I'm going to try and go live at 7 a.m. regularly. I think today was 3 minutes past 7. Tomorrow I'll try and make sure that it's exactly at 7 a.m. I see my better half, Robin Black, has joined, which means she's awake. Morning, Angel. Okay, so we'll wait for one or two more people to join. But if you are watching the replay of this video, then you don't necessarily need to watch me greeting people. You can just skip forward a little bit into the main content. Today, what I'm talking about is 3 key questions that you need to ask yourself before you put food in your mouth, and they're going to help you very much to get to grips with why, how, and what your eating habits are and what is fueling your eating. And I think this is really going to help for me. It's a key tool that I coach or teach my clients. It's a key weight loss tool that you can employ in your life. So please hang around. Okay, let's just get to it. I think it's going to take some time for Facebook people on the page to realize that I go live. So the topic today is, do you eat when you need to eat, when you want to eat, or when you should eat? Now, these are 3 key questions that I'm going to explain to you. And what I'm asking you to do or challenging you to do is to ask yourself those 3 questions every time before you put something in your mouth. So let's unpack them quickly, very briefly. Do you need to eat? Okay, I think they're all pretty intuitive, but I will explain. When you need to eat something, that means that you are physically hungry. Okay, now in today's modern society, with refrigeration, with convenience foods, with shops on every corner, human beings have pretty much forgotten what it feels like to be truly physically hungry. You know, when you're physically hungry, you get a little bit of that feeling in your tummy. You maybe feel a little bit weak. You start to get a little bit edgy. You know, you talk about people getting hangry. That's probably when they are truly physically hungry. And so people don't really know what it is to be hungry anymore. So when I say when you need to eat, that is when you are really hungry. Now, if you need to eat, a test for that is you'll eat pretty much anything. If you're really hungry, you'll eat fish and broccoli. I'm not saying you should eat fish and broccoli, but I'm saying, you know, it's not a specific food that you're craving when you're truly hungry. You actually just need to eat something. Okay, so that's eating when you need to eat. Okay, then the next category is eating when you want to eat. Now, as implied, eating when you want to eat means you want to do it. You're not necessarily hungry. So there's a few reasons that there could be for that. One, it's out of emotional, and it's an emotional cause. So you're feeling emotional, that's causing you to eat emotionally. You want to eat this thing. Or sometimes it's purely just a decision. You know, you go out to a restaurant for dinner and you decide, I want to eat this dessert for enjoyment. Okay, it's not necessarily, emotional eating is not necessarily always a negative thing. Going to someone's birthday party and having cake can be a positive thing, but that's also a form of emotional eating. That is, I want to eat this. But you've got to distinguish the difference between I need to eat and I want to eat, and get clear on that. Understand that you're not truly hungry. Understand that you're eating for another reason that is not hunger. Okay? So now I've covered need to eat, which is physical hunger. Want to eat, which is generally emotionally driven, good or bad. Okay? It's a choice that you make. It's not driven out of hunger. Then the third one, which can be a little bit tricky, is should eat. Okay? I feel like I should eat something. Now, there's a few dimensions to this one. One example of should eat could be you go to your auntie's house for tea and she puts some cakes out on the table or whatever it might be. And, society's taught us that it's very impolite to refuse that kind gesture. Okay. So maybe now you're not eating out of emotional wanting to eat. You're sitting there thinking, geez, I don't really want to have this cake, but my auntie's going to be very upset. I should have something. That's one example of should. Another example of should is you go to a business meeting for lunch and, you're not hungry, but the person you're having a meeting with wants to order food. You feel that it's appropriate that you should join. It's good manners. And sometimes it just feels right. Often you'll sit down with a friend at a coffee shop or whatever it is, they'll order a muffin or something. Now, the last thing that was on your mind prior to that thing was having a muffin, but now, they're in front of you, they're eating it, you feel like you should have one. So that's some examples of should. The other examples of should are things like meal times. It's lunchtime, it's 1 o'clock, I should eat, but I'm not even hungry. And we do this often, we eat when we feel that we should eat, or people who believe that they have to have a pre-workout before going to the gym. They're not hungry, but they're like, hey, I should eat this. So guys, those are the three examples of, reasons why you might eat. Because you need to eat, that means you're hungry. Because you want to eat, that's often emotionally based. And should eat is often due to societal norms and habits and rituals and routines. Okay. So my challenge to you is every time you put something in your mouth, ask yourself that question. Am I eating this because I need to eat it? Because I want to eat it? Or because I should eat it? Now, there's a place for all three of those in your life. But what I'm going to say to you is I believe very strongly in eating mostly when you're actually truly physically hungry. Eating when you need to eat. And I believe that that is a wonderful tool to control your overall consumption of calories and to help you lose and maintain weight. Now, there are many different ways to lose and maintain weight. There are many different ways to control your consumption. All of them work if practiced correctly. So, for example, I got nothing against calorie counting. It works. If you want to log everything on MyFitnessPal every day, every meal, then be my guest. I just don't find that to be a good use of my time. I don't find it to be enjoyable. I don't find it to be sustainable. And I don't think that weighing and measuring meals and food consistently all the time is a way to live. I don't think that that's what we're meant to be doing as human beings. So I found that the cleverest way to manage my consumption is to simply eat when I'm hungry. Not when society tells me to, not when I think that I want to, just eat when I need to. And then when I eat, I try and eat good, wholesome, healthy food as much as possible. Now, I said there's a space for all of those things in your life. And there is. There's definitely a space for situations where you just want to have something. On Sunday, I'm at the beach. I just want to have an ice cream. And that is absolutely fine. But just acknowledge it for what it is. Understand that you're choosing to eat something for the sake of eating it and it is not coming out of a place of hunger. And I think that is a very important concept for people to understand because it's really going to help you with your choices as you navigate your day and your nutrition. And should eat is also sometimes a tricky one. Sometimes it's just the right thing to do. Sometimes it's just a social thing and we go along with it. And, sometimes it might just be you're at the office, you've got a very, very busy day, you're not exactly hungry at lunchtime, but you're thinking, geez, I will be hungry in the next hour. So you're almost having that lunch meal just to make sure that at 3 o'clock you're not going to be sitting in a meeting, eating your arm or getting really antsy with people because you're hungry. So there are certain situations where you need to anticipate life and eat because we should eat, anticipating, that coming hunger. So guys, those are some of, this is the question that I'd like you to ask yourself when you eat. And what this goes back to is being mindful, okay? It goes back to being mindful about every decision that you make, because often I think when we get into an autopilot mode, people just do things subconsciously. They don't really think about what they're doing. And that is when you end up over-consuming. And over-consuming food is the thing that is going to stand between you and your health and fitness goals. Anyway, I hope that gave you some food for thought. It's a technique which is really powerful. It's a technique that I practice myself. And, they say, practice what you teach. Well, actually, I made that up the other day, but I'm sure I'm not the first person to say that, but it came to me. I was going to say practice what you preach, but, I think you should also practice what you teach. So it helps me a lot in my life. That's what I practice at the moment. I've done all the different strategies. I've counted calories for almost 18 months. I've logged stuff in MyFitnessPal. I've weighed and measured foods. And, of course, all these skills combined together, because from weighing and measuring foods, from counting calories, I obviously now have a much better intuitive idea of what a portion should look like. So, all these different methods and tools do help you in terms of, it's just about there's no one better method. This journey is about having a tool set of tools that you can use for different situations. Sometimes when I really want to dial things in, if I really want to clean things up, I might count calories for a few weeks just to make sure that my estimations are not off. But I don't think that is a sustainable way to live life. So guys, if you want to control your eating, these 3 questions of asking yourself, do you need to eat because you're physically hungry? Do you want to eat, generally born out of emotion, and should eat, normally out of obligation and routine? Ask yourself those 3 questions. Remain mindful. That is going to be a very powerful tool for you. If you thought this video was helpful, if that makes a lot of sense to you, please do me a favor and share it in your network, share it with your friends. It might be something that they might be interested to hear. It might help them on their journey. Please also go and join our Sleekgeek group, which is a Facebook group where people are chatting 24/7 about health and fitness. I'm coming to you live at the moment from our page, but go to the group, chat to people, and thanks for tuning in. As I said, I'm going to try and go live on the page daily on weekdays at 7 a.m. and try and stick to a consistent time so that people know that I'm live. Before I go, let's see if anyone made any comments. I see Beans said good morrow. Beans is our developer at Sleekgeek. He does all our hosting. He makes sure that our Sleekgeek products are live and get to you without any interruption. Sandy McKenzie, who we featured today in our newsletter, lost 70 kilograms. She said, this is how I live my life. I only eat when I'm hungry. Sandy, I find it's a great strategy for me too. It also saves me a lot of time, not having to constantly be worrying about eating and meal prep, etc., etc., etc. But guys, the one thing I do want to say before signing off here is, please don't misunderstand me. When I say only eat when you're hungry and ask yourself these 3 questions, I'm not suggesting that you starve yourself. I'm not suggesting that you wait until you're about to fall over before you eat. Please be mature and adult about this information. What I am saying is, don't just constantly eat for the sake of eating when you're not even hungry, because that is not going to help you lose weight, and that is not going to help you maintain your weight. And all I'm saying is get in touch with your hunger, because that is something which a lot of modern humans don't know how to do. In today's day and age, people don't know what hunger is anymore. And you know what? I always think it's a good idea to experiment with that and understand a little bit what hunger is. And there's nothing wrong with being a little bit hungry because you're not going to die, promise you. Anyway, when it comes to sport performance, obviously if your performance is lacking in the gym and you're constantly tired and you have no energy, you need to address that with good nutrition. So, please don't misunderstand me when I say only eat when you're hungry. All right, guys, I'm going to roll. Have a beautiful day. It is Tuesday. As you can hear, the foghorn is going in Willie Point here in Cape Town. It is very foggy. I normally have a sea view, but I can't see the ocean today. So that's what's happening in Cape Town. Have a beautiful day, guys. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate your time and attention. Oh, wait, before I go, I see there's a question. I'd like to answer that. Tristan Watkins says, morning, I'm trying this out. One has to be mindful about eating. We're so habitual. Hey, absolutely, Tristan. We are habitual, and I think people often just eat for the sake of. If you wake up in the morning and you're not hungry, you don't necessarily need to have that breakfast that you have every day, because there is no science to support the idea that there's no science to actually prove meal frequency and meal timing. So one doesn't have to have breakfast. You could have your first meal at 11 a.m. if you wanted. I often do that. And then what I'll do is I'll just have something small to break that hunger. So maybe like 2 or 3 boiled eggs, something like that, and it's enough. I don't need to have a massive breakfast. I then might have a much bigger lunch, depending on my hunger levels and my satiety. But all right, I got to roll. Thanks for that question. I'll see you guys tomorrow at 7 a.m.